You're listening to the StudioPTBO Podcast, where we talk all things marketing to help you build and grow your business online. Welcome to the latest episode. Welcome to the StudioPTBO Podcast. We are back, and we're back at it again with another guest, and we are doing another remote version of the StudioPTBO Podcast. We are in two separate places. Neil's at home. I'm at home. The entire staff is at home. We are working remotely, and it's been a very, very interesting month because I think we're coming up on a month that we've been kind of remote, or almost nearly a month, and it's been a really interesting month, like, to say the least. Neil, how are you holding up? Everything good there?
Pretty good, man. It's day to day is a roller coaster, and like you said, it may have been a month, but it feels like a decade, like for everyone right now, what everyone's going through, and complete chaos and tumultuous time and emotional roller coaster. But we're all getting through it. We're all weathering the storm. So far, so good. And we're going to hear more about that from a special guest today. He's a friend of yours, and I'll let you set up who we have on the show.
Yeah, for those that know, we've been trying to, we've kind of cut up the agency series that we've done. We did a few podcasts on with Terry Guile and with Stu Harrison, just on the business community. And we have Derek Stroh with us today. And Derek and I have known each other for probably the last year or so through Cat Howell's Academy, through Agency Growth Labs. And I've been watching Derek's journey over the last year about growing his agency. We'll talk a little about that. We'll talk about, being a part of Cat Howell's documentary, Pay the Fucking Invoice. And it's been a really cool ride to see Derek grow over the last year, and especially with his business. Fellow Canadian from Vancouver, British Columbia. So we're super excited to have you on the show, Derek. Why don't you give us a little bit of a high-level overview on who you are, what you do, what your agency is, and just kind of how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. So my name's Derek Stroh. I run a e-commerce growth agency based out of Vancouver. Basically, we help e-commerce stores scale from 6 figures a month to 7 figures a month and beyond. So really predominantly focusing on e-commerce. We've been doing this for about 3.5 years now, really hunkering down on the e-com scene. And then beyond that, the coaching side of things has been something I've always been really passionate about. So I had a really cool opportunity to work with Kat on Pay the Fucking Invoice in New Zealand. That was a lot of fun. Was there for about 2 months and really got tight with the team there. And I think one of the things I realized there too, we did a lot of reflection and a lot of time to just think about what we really ultimately want. And when I was there, I realized, I don't want to build a 100-person agency. I don't want 100 staff under me. I want to build a pretty tight group of people around me, 5-6 people, whether that be full-time employees or full-time contractors. It's not really a big issue for me. But the big thing that I have found a massive passion for too is really coaching people and helping businesses. I find the impact that I can have there is huge. So I've been doing that for about a year now as well. Coached hundreds of businesses now, which is really pretty rewarding feeling, especially considering it's outside of the e-com realm as well. And that's pretty much me in a nutshell. Based out of Vancouver, like Cody and Neil mentioned. Love being in the outdoors. It's been a little bit crazy, a little bit weird times right now because I do like to get outside. I like to go to the gym. I like to go to restaurants. Haven't been able to do that a ton recently. But focusing on different avenues right now too. Trying to take the opportunity that there is right now, as far as the kind of cheap ad costs, as well as taking some time to just focus on other aspects of the business. So that's a little bit about me. I hope that wasn't too long.
Derek, tell us about what you're seeing in Vancouver right now, as far as obviously the pandemic and the effect it's having on the local economy there. I assume you probably have restaurants you like to frequent and pubs and cafes. What are you seeing there locally? Do you have friends that are in really dire situation now, and what's happening there?
Yeah, it's honestly, it's pretty sad, right? I think Vancouver, and not only Vancouver, but around the world, seeing the impact that it's having on restaurants and events companies and marketing businesses, really pretty much any kind of business, right? I'm fortunate that not a lot of my friends are in the restaurant industry, but some of my favorite restaurants are not able to be open, right? So I think one of the things that is cool, on more of a positive note, is seeing people supporting those businesses too, right? Because I know now I'm cooking a lot more at home, but like my girlfriend and I are making a conscious effort to like actually order at least like once or twice a week, just so that, okay, these are like our favorite places. Let's try to support them. And it's been cool too. Like a couple of the places we tried to contact, we tried to get pizza 2 nights ago, and they were like, yeah, we're sorry, we're not taking any more orders. We're like fully booked out, right? Like we can't make any more pizza tonight. I'm like, that's awesome to see. But yeah, it's an eerie feeling too, right? I live downtown. I work downtown. My whole life is downtown, right? You walk past a dozen restaurants and all of them are closed. You walk past retail shops and they've all got boarded up because they don't want people breaking in, right? It's weird times, to say the least.
It's unprecedented, and it's hard to explain what everyone is going through and what business owners are going through. And, we both work in the client facing industry. So I'm curious to know, when shit hit the fan, like what did you do with your clients, and what are you doing now in order to kind of help clients understand that they need to take massive action now, in the midst of so much uncertain times? I know you do a lot of coaching with businesses, and, we chatted about this in the past about Simon Bowen, he's going to be on our show the next couple of weeks. He has this, what he calls the futures model. And essentially it's like, there's 3 things that business owners are going to do over the next, 6 to 12 months. Some are going to do nothing. And we know that 95% of businesses go out of business within the course of 5 years. Some people are going to do some things and they're going to end up in the exact same spot in the course of 18 and 24 months, but some are going to take massive action. So I'm curious to know what you are saying to business owners right now, and essentially the hope that you're providing to them and the hope you're even providing to, your current clients. Like, what does that look like right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, man. I think really it comes down to different businesses are going to require different things. So I try to take as much of a tailored approach as possible. Because I've got some clients who are in the supplement industry. So supplements specifically for helping hangovers. I have other clients where they're selling dresses or selling bags or selling a variety of different things, right? So I think each business is going to require something slightly different. So whether it's pivoting the messaging or pivoting the creative that you're using to be more effective and more kind of relevant to the times. For example, use a skincare brand, and a big worry for people for this demographic is dry skin, right? It's a time of year where there's a lot of dry skin. People are using a ton of hand sanitizer, Lysol wipes. So keeping your skin healthy and vibrant, and using a moisturizer, using some of these guys' products, and spinning it in a way that is, showing that it's going to help these people is super important. I think beyond that, just reminding my clients that it's an amazing time to be online, right? And just being super transparent, seeing, hey, you know what, CPMs are lower than they've been. I haven't seen these CPMs this low for a number of years, right?
Crazy, eh? Yeah.
It's insane, right? The cost per click, being able to compete with all these brands, and not only that, but seeing all these other brands coming out too, right? Because a lot of the big brands are pulling their budgets away. We're able to see, okay, well, CPMs are dropping a ton, and we're seeing a ton of different brands, a ton of different products that you wouldn't have otherwise seen because it's less competitive.
Yeah.
Right.
Derek, what are you seeing? We're seeing some marketers who just got just demolished because of the verticals they were in, right? So if you're in event planning, you're just decimated. How were you able to withstand that? Was it by luck of the verticals you're in? Was it what you said, you sort of changed your messaging or tweaked it? How have you kept your retention rate pretty stable through this?
I think like, don't get me wrong. I definitely got hit there. I think I'm fortunate in the fact that like I haven't been hit as hard as someone in the event space. Right. So I think part of it is honestly just luck. Another part is the fact that, with one of my clients, for example, has 3 stores, 3 storefronts, right? One in Toronto, one in Calgary, and one in Vancouver. They've had to close up shop essentially, right? And they're 100% reliant on online now, which is a great feeling as a marketer, right? Because you're like, okay, like, let's go. I want to help you guys in this time. I'm like, hey, you know what I think we should do right now? Because of these low CPMs, because of like everything that's going on, I think we should ramp up the budget. And they're like, give me a reason why. Like, why do we need to do this? I kind of like walked into that process, and like because of that, their business is still doing all right. I think honestly a big portion of it is just luck. Because if I know some guys with agencies, and guys and gals with agencies who are focusing on events or focusing on restaurants even, right? And they're getting hit really hard. I think people with events, it's tough, right? Because if you don't have the budget, if you don't have an event anymore.
Yeah, and they're basically canned for the year, right?
Yeah, exactly.
At least this year. And I think you got, as you said, lucky. Cody and I feel blessed and lucky that we have a digital agency, and we've managed to survive and withstand this. We had to cut some staff hours, but overall, we're bringing on a lot of new clients now who are pivoting to online. So I think sometimes it's what you make of the luck and the timing in life and what you're doing. And so far, so good. So kudos to you, man. And I wanted to ask you as well, and Cody and I always ask guests about this, about mindset. You seem to have, this first time I've met you, but Cody speaks very highly of you, a great mindset, glass half full, positive, solution-based. Has that really helped you through this crisis that none of us saw coming? And just walk us through that, how you sort of get up every day and just, do the best you can and have a really positive attitude.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm far from perfect on that front. It's something that's tricky for sure, and like I've been working on for the past couple of years, just working on my mindset, keeping things really sound too, right? So if something like this does happen, knowing that, hey, I think the biggest thing for me is knowing, okay, I've built this up to where I'm at now. I know what I'm doing. And if in 12 months from like, even if I go to 0 right now, I know I can build it back up because I've already done it. And I know it'll take a lot less time to do that because like I have the skill sets and I have the knowledge in order to do that. So, while it is, like, oh shit, like I took a hit to revenue, I lost a couple of clients here. I've also been working on onboarding other clients. I've onboarded one in the health space, which is actually a pretty big one at this point, right? Health is massively important. I think that focusing on the positive outcomes and not just like clouding myself and being like, oh, everything's positive and fine and dandy, but just being trying not to get into that spiral of thinking, oh my God, what if it stays like this forever? Like what happens if I lose all my clients and I can't coach anymore and no one has any money and all that? And it's like, okay, well then that happens. And then we'll pivot from that. And also, to be quite honest, like gratitude, I am so, like you were saying, Neil, like I am so incredibly grateful that I have a digital agency and I wasn't taken to 0. I don't have a ton of fixed overhead. I have some contractors who are working on client accounts, and I might have had to let those contractors go. But beyond that, I don't have fixed, I don't have an office space because I am remote, right? So I'm honestly super, super grateful. And it's pretty hard for me to feel bad about myself or sorry about myself when I look at all these businesses and I'm like, wow, I still have a livelihood. I can still work. Right.
It's that perspective thing that keeps coming up. I think in every podcast that we do, it's like the gratitude, the perspective, the ideology that, like you look around, it's like, there's so many people that are in really rough spots, and it's the perspective that like, and I love how you worded that. I love how you worded, it's like, if I lose everything tomorrow, I could go and rebuild it. And I think, I've been chatting a lot about this recently, about like belief in your ability to figure things out. And I think that's so important. I think that it's something that is so missed, and like some people hunker down and do nothing, but if you believe in yourself to figure things out, good things that can happen. So I'm really curious to know, Derek, when it comes to e-commerce, because it's very different. Like we mainly work in we build e-commerce stores, and we're actually talking about working on a project together right now. We build e-com stores, but we mainly do Facebook lead generation for clients. So we focus in the lead gen space. So I'm curious to know, what advice would you have to somebody building an e-com store? Because right now, and running ads in an e-com store right now, it's something like tons of people are pivoting online, and it's their livelihood. Like, what are key points that you have for business owners building e-com stores right now that are looking to actually want to convert in the online space? Like, what are you doing to take people from 6 figures to 7 figures in their online stores?
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest things that it comes down to outside of what's going on now, and I think even now, right, is the creative that you're using. So having really strong creative and having a concise website still. But beyond that, I think speaking to right now, because there's so much going on, what people really want is not necessarily, and I'm just noticing this with the campaigns I'm running, is like they don't necessarily want a discount. And I think I was reading this as well. I can't remember where it was. I think it was actually something Depeche might have mentioned. But I'm noticing the same thing across my campaigns. I've been testing out different hooks and trying to figure out how to get people to the store and convert more. And one of the biggest things is just how you're helping people. So one of my clients has pivoted a little bit, and they're doing like a giveaway, right? So they're giving away a certain percentage, or they're giving away masks, like medical masks for purchases, right? Or you can do a pay what you want, right? So the product is a set price, and then beyond that, if you want to pay more, then that amount is donated in mask value, kind of thing. So I think really is just helping serving just to kind of reverse a little bit, the messaging is like massively important right now. The messaging that you're using and how you're bringing people in, how you're hooking people in, and making sure that messaging is resonating with people now, not people 6 months ago, because that's completely different, right? They might have been like eating up discounts, right? But now it's more so like, okay, how are you helping people out? People want to get behind that.
Sorry to interrupt, Derek. We've changed all our messaging over the last month dramatically. It still feels like our brand. So we've always been a brand of empathy and kindness and being real, keeping it real, authentic. But we completely, like literally today, our designers sent us 3 new graphics to use. We're on the fly, like, because we're getting a lot more pivoting to online stores, right, from bricks and mortar, and we're going with all that, right, on the fly, and you have to. And I love that you're saying that. And all the other marketers we've spoken to have said too, you have to be very thoughtful to the times, no bullshit, very authentic, very true, very honest, because no one's ever said anything like this. So I agree with you. That really speaks emotionally and viscerally to people. It has to resonate with them. It can't feel like yesterday's world, because yesterday's world will never exist again. Exactly the way it did, right, Cody?
Yeah. And I like your use of the word honest, because I think that people are afraid to call out what's happening in the world in their messaging. People are afraid of selling right now. There's 2 camps. There's either people that are looking at providing a solution in regards to the adversity, and there's people that aren't doing anything. And it's really interesting. And I like your use of the word honest, because I think as long as you're being honest, as long as you're showing up and serving, I posted this on social the other day, you could still, as a business owner, show up and serve. You just might have to change your medium and change your message. And that's really the encouragement that we have to anyone listening to this podcast right now, is the idea, if you're listening back to the replay, that in every area and every avenue of life, you can still show up and serve. You just have to change your medium, change your message. Right now, Facebook, like Derek has mentioned, has never been cheaper. Whether you're doing lead generation, whether you're doing, looking to build an e-com store and run ads for that, reach out to Derek if you're looking to run e-commerce ads. And the biggest thing I just want to say, Derek, is thank you so much for coming on the show today. and just sharing with us kind of your mindset, your resilience, and what's happening in the e-com world. Because again, like we don't have a whole lot of experience as an agency with e-commerce in regards to ads. So it's really cool to see that, you know, just the perspective is very similar across multiple different sectors. And really appreciate your time, man. And we're really excited to see everything that you're doing. So thanks for hopping on the Studio PTBO podcast today.
Awesome. Likewise, guys. Thanks for your time. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Awesome. And thank you so much for tuning into the Studio PTBO podcast. If you're a business owner that is looking to really grow and scale in the online space, would love to have the opportunity to see you inside the Studio PTBO Marketing Hacks group. It's a group full of business owners and entrepreneurs that are just really supporting each other through uncertain economic times. And I think we have about around 600 business owners in this group. So if you want more information about how you can get access to that, click the link in the description below. I'd love to see you on the inside. Thanks, Neil. Thanks, Derek. And thank you for tuning into the Studio PTBO podcast. We will see you soon.